Hey, welcome to the channel. We hope that you enjoy today's stories and check out the chapters on the video to see all the stories for today. But before we get into this video, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell icon to get notified when we release a new video. So let's get into the video.
Was I receiving a warning all this time? I know this all sounds so far-fetched, especially when you get to the last paragraph, but I swear it happened. I commented on the first part of this experience on someone's post a while back, and then the rest of it happened afterwards. This all took place between July 2022 and February 2023. A rural community, a cute subdivision, not a place where weird stuff happens. We, 32-year-old female, 32-year-old male, 10-year-old female, 10-year-old male, bought our new house this past July from a retired minister and his wife. As soon as we started moving in, we noticed a weird bumping and thumping coming from the master bedroom closet shortly after sunset every evening. At this time, we were all sleeping on mattresses in the living room waiting for our furniture to be moved. We just sold our respective houses and were combining households. We had a plumber come check things out to make sure it wasn't just pipes thumping. It wasn't. We moved our furniture in over the next few weeks, and life continued as normal. We still heard the thump from upstairs, sounded like an animal jumping down off of something up high, and noticed some other odd things happening. The light in our entryway and our garage would randomly be turned on some days when we got home, and so we decided to install cameras in front of the entries to see if maybe someone had our access code, coded entry, no key, to the front door and was stopping by for whatever reason. We also had a friend who was an electrician check out our wiring to make sure everything looked okay. No electrical issues. No visitors. One night, my partner was away at work on the night shift, and I was sitting on the couch watching TV while my son slept upstairs. My stepdaughter was at her mom's for the evening, and I kept seeing little flashes coming from in front of the oven. I thought maybe there was a car passing by on the main road, so I checked the doorbell camera, and nothing had driven by. Then I decided maybe the oven light was flickering on or something, so I watched the oven for a minute to see if it would come on. Instead, I saw what looked almost like blue linen move from one side of the doorway to the other. Then the noises started. First, I heard the thumping coming from upstairs in the master bedroom, then the dining room, the kitchen, the entryway, and back up the stairs. I texted my partner and said, "Something is going on in this house, and either I am losing my mind or some weird spirit stuff is going on, but I feel like I'm under attack," and asked him to come home. In the meantime, I went upstairs to my bedroom with both my cats and waited. The house started to hum in a way that made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It was like static electricity had filled the air. I heard a snap, and for a split second I saw my grandmother, who had passed a few years back, standing at the foot of my bed, wearing a blue linen top and pants. This detail is important, but I didn't know it at the time, and I was terrified, so I called out, "Enough!" And it was gone. The air calmed down, the anxiety left, and the house was quiet. I immediately messaged my cousin and said, "Holy crap, dude, I think I just saw Nanny in the house. I need you to tell me I'm not freaking nuts," and described what I'd seen, to which she sent me a photo of her and said,
"This outfit?"
and told me it was the outfit my grandmother had been buried in. I didn't attend the visitation prior to the funeral because I lived hours away at the time and just moved back to my hometown in July, so I didn't know this. My partner came home around 11:30 p.m. and laughed at me because I'd sweat my entire body outline into our sheets. I told him what happened. We changed the sheets and sat up for a while being reasonably freaked out, and then just went to bed. The next morning, I thought I'd gone bonkers, so I messaged a medium my friend recommended, and we met a couple of weeks later, and she told me she felt my grandmother was coming around to try and warn me about something and to stay alert. That was in December. 2 months later, the next time my son and I were the only ones alone in the house, we were woken up shortly after midnight to the neighbor kicking our front door in and screaming for us to get out because our house was burning down with us inside it. The fire marshals inspected after the fire was out and told us there was an issue with the chimney and evidence that every time we'd started a fire in our wood stove, when it started getting cold around November, there was more than likely a small fire smoldering in our walls, drying out the wood until it eventually dried out enough to catch fire inside the wall and burn through. No one will ever convince me that she wasn't there to try and warn us. Everyone survived, the house burned to the ground, and it was the most terrifying experience of my life.
We met a guy who used to work in our house. He asked, "Have you met the ghosts yet?" My husband started laughing and said we sure have. We were a bit skeptical over whether we'd imagined things or whatever, although laborers working here have been very unsettled by events and in some cases refused to come back. We've always lived in houses where strange things happen, but this one is a really wild ride. It's very, very haunted. Noises, floorboards creaking with footsteps, bangs, doors opening, lights and sockets switching on and off, things moving, voices, shadows. It's crazy. He also told us some of the things which happened here. It's a very old house, and in recent years it was a home for addicts with new babies. Serious, horrific trauma happened here. I cried when he told us. It's unsurprising to me, therefore, that the energy here is so charged. I was thinking that knowing this weekend I may light candles, sage the house, and invite anything to leave that now needs to go. Though I suppose some will probably want to stay. I'd be interested to know what you'd do here. Our family and friends said, "Move out." But we like it here.
If you're enjoying today's video, smash that like button and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos and interesting stories. Now let's get back to the stories of our lives.
It lived in the cane field. When I was in primary school, my grandma lived near a cane field. My cousins and uncle lived in the same town, while my mother and I lived further north, so on school holidays my mom would take us down to visit them, and I would primarily stay at my grandma's house. My cousins would then stay there to visit me. Because of factors like childhood neglect, we kids would be left home alone at night while our grandma worked, and my mom and uncle would catch up with friends and then go drinking. We thought we were cool because we had about 10 to 12 years old and could literally do whatever we wanted. One of those things was my cousin smoking. She wouldn't smoke in the house, so she would go outside and smoke by the boundary, which was directly across the road to the cane field. She came back inside sobbing, and her sister and I asked what was wrong. She told us there was a thing crouched behind a bin in the yard and it growled at her. The sister and I thought it was probably a dog, so we went outside to chase it away. However, whatever the heck it wasn't a dog. When we went outside, we could see part of this white thing hiding behind the bin. Stupid me whistled at it and confidently walked up to it thinking it was a scared/lost dog. I could hear this growling that sounded nothing like a dog, but this weird throaty noise. I went closer to it because I still thought in my heart of hearts this thing was probably a dog, until I saw a white knee, and saw this thing was crouching on two legs. It was white, with no hair, long limbs, skinny, and humanoid. The closest I can describe it is the rake. It stood up briefly and made this defensive yell where I covered my face. My cousin screamed, and the thing bounded away on all fours back into the cane field. We told our parents when they got home, and they joked it was probably the landowner's inbred son that they let out at night. Because of the underreaction from our parents, we kind of forgot about it over time. However, when we told our grandma one time, she said one evening when she and her boyfriend were reversing out, she took a wrong turn or hit something. I can't remember, so they both got out and this white thing was lying flat by the cane field as if it was trying not to be seen. It crouched down lower when they looked at it, and because it terrified them they pretended not to see it as well, then slowly crept back into the car pretending it wasn't there. Before the house was sold and during my early high school years, when my mother would take me to see my cousins and uncle, I saw glances of it mainly at night, although you could sense an eerie feeling from the cane field during the day. The times I saw it, I started doing this thing where I would walk around at night listening to my iPod when they first came out. So, when at my grandma's house I was wandering around the yard when it crawled out from under my grandma's house and then ran back into the field. I would see glances of it from behind bushes or peeking out of the cane at night, so I stopped going outside at night. Whatever it was didn't try to attack us, though seemed to be like chilling at my grandma's house. My grandma often worked at night, So I think it went there to sleep or observe things, then it didn't realize me and the other meddling kids were going to find it, or notice it. I don't know where it came from or what it wanted, yet asking my grandma because the town was near a rainforest with several caves around. It's speculated that it would come down when the cane was up to venture around the town.
The man who died here likes me. In the late 2000s, a man in an oxygen tank lit a cigarette and he blew up along with the house I now live in. This is an important detail to the other connections. It is a sad story, but he is still here in his spirit. We moved in about 10 years ago into this brand new home that was rebuilt. It has a basement from the original house and a garage that had a hole burned into the roof from the fire. Those are the only thing that I think keeps him here in spirit. We just moved into our new home, and all goes well. I was younger when we moved in. I was kind of nervous being alone, but that was normal for someone my age. The first incident. I was in bed one night and I hear the floor creak. I think nothing of it, and I go back to bed. This goes on for years. I wake up and hear footsteps and I don't feel alone. It was scary as a child, but it doesn't bother me anymore. The second incident. I woke up one night to the smell of smoke. It smells weird though. It was the smell of cigarette smoke. My parents at the time smoked, so I blamed it on that. They later quit and I still smell it. I also never feel alone when this happens. This happens about every 2 weeks, and I got used to it. The third incident. I was down in the basement on the phone with my grandmother, and something goes across my face. It was black, and I got a big chill down my spine as I run up the stairs. I was really upset, and my grandmother calmed me down saying it was okay and it was nothing to worry about. The fourth incident. We were about to sell our house and tear down the shed. Some background info on the shed. It was a workshop built by the old owner in the late 60s or 70s. Just a guess, it was old. I think it was a special spot for him. His memories are there. I go to bed the other night and I sleep with my headphones listening to something to fall asleep to, like an audiobook. I get ready and fall asleep and wake up to my mother in my room. I answer, "Yes? What do you want?" And I get no answer. I look for my phone after asking her why she won't answer me. I grab it and use the screen as a flashlight. She is gone. I go to text her and ask what the hell just happened. I change my mind, so I don't freak her out. As soon as my head touches the pillow, I fall asleep, literally. This isn't normal at all for me. I wake up to a tapping on the face. I see something in my face. Right in my face. South close, I can't even describe it. I stay there a sec. I thought it was my mom again. I get the phone quickly and look around and see nothing. I go back to bed and woke up the next day. I forgot this happened when I woke up and I continue on like I normally do. I told my grandmother the next day after I got a flashback. I have bad flashbacks due to PTSD, and I tell her. I told my mom a few days later. I think the explanation was he didn't this family to move and tear down the shed that he was attached to. The fifth incident. The day after I had something in my face, I woke up to a bad pain in my stomach. I don't get sick. I get up and go to the bathroom and I lay on the floor. I was thinking about how I just wanted to die. The pain was that bad. I felt like I was stabbed. I go back to my room and I smell cigarette smoke. He did it to me. He is communicating with me and I want to keep communicating with him. He isn't bad. He is an older man in spirit who is lonely and sometimes wants someone alive thinking about him. What do you think about this? I am sorry for the grammatical errors there will be in here. This is all real and I think it's really cool that this happened to me. This goes to show that ghosts or spirits aren't all bad. Sometimes they just need someone. I am going to sleep soon and will write something in the comments if I have an experience. I think we will have something happen. As I am writing this, I smell the smoke of a cigarette. He is with me watching. I can feel he is on the left side next to my chair. I think he is going to wake me tonight because he is happy we aren't moving, but he is angry that the shed was taken down.
If you've enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and check out more videos from the channel.